Today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, MovieFiles. We are back with a brand new early Netflix movie review, and today we're breaking down the new big blockbuster action spy film brought to us by the Russo brothers with an incredible cast. We're talking about The Gray Man, a film I got the chance to check out early, and I'm gonna let you all know my pros and my cons, and ultimately by the end of this review, I'm going to let you know if I think it's worth checking out on Netflix on Friday. That and much more all in this spoiler-free review. Before we get into today's breakdown, if you all enjoy movie reviews, TV breakdowns, theory videos, prediction videos, and so much more, make sure you're giving me a follow on Instagram as well as on TikTok. You can find those links in the description of this very video. If you're new to the channel, welcome to the community. If you all enjoy early movie reviews like we're doing today, daily, weekly TV breakdowns, and live streams, well, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you're giving it a thumbs up as well as sharing it. But more importantly, once you've seen The Gray Man, what'd you think about it? Let's talk about your pros, your cons, your thoughts on the direction, the writing, the performances, the action. Do you want more from the franchise? What were some things that didn't work for you all? Let's talk about it in the comment section. So for me personally, going into The Gray Man, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be honest with you all. In the back of my mind, as you can see on the screen now, when I think about Netflix, action, big blockbuster films, they haven't been that great. Now, I've reviewed those films. You can check out my thoughts. But then in the front of my mind, I'm like, we're talking the Russo brothers. And you all know, if you watch my Marvel content, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, they're bringing the writers from those projects to work on this project. And then the cast alone, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, Ryan Gosling, Billy Bob Thornton. I was hyped for the movie at the end of the day, but did it live up to my expectations? Is it any good? Let's break it all down. Starting off with my positives, I want to go back to the Russo brothers, and I'm going to say this. I do not like to put creators in a box. I like when people expand themselves, they diversify their filmographies, but I say all that to say this. The Russo brothers in action, and specifically spy action espionage, which they did in The Winter Soldier so beautifully, and there's some Winter Soldier-ness going on in this film here, but they are just so great in this genre. And again, I like when they diversify themselves. I wasn't a big fan of Cherry, but you know, you can expand your wings every now and then, but then come back to action, right? This is the form that I come to love with the Russo brothers. They just know how to shoot the action. Their sequences are so big and so fresh and so unique in most cases. And then their working relationship with the writers that they have on this film, which I mentioned they worked on with previous Marvel films. I'm talking about Christopher Markus and Stephen McFeely. Again, branch off, do your thing every now and then, but can we get some exclusivity? Can they just work together for every other project? Because they just have such good synergy with each other. I feel like they can complete each other's sentences. They know how to write their characters. They know how to shoot their action. They're working well together. Now, there are some criticisms that I have that I'll talk about later, but for the most part, I really enjoyed the Russo brothers' direction, and I really enjoyed the writing that we have, especially when it comes to these characters, which brings me to the performances. You've seen the trailer, you've seen the poster, the cast is absolutely stacked, and I thought that they were really some good complementary players throughout this film. I'm talking about the supporting cast, starting off with someone like Alfre Woodard, who plays Margaret, who doesn't have a lot of screen time, but she has some really good heartfelt moments. You felt the kind of groundedness in the characters, and I'm a big fan of her overall, so I thought she fit so well in the narrative. I think of Billy Bob Thornton, who goes by the name of Donald in this film, who's almost kind of a father figure to Ryan Gosling's sixth character, and I really enjoyed their back and forth, and also Billy Bob's relationship with his niece, who goes by the name of Claire, who's played by Julia Butters. Now, just a little side note, she's a star. I remember when she was in Quentin Tarantino's, it was 2019, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, Leonardo DiCaprio, star-studded cast, but she stood out to me, right? And if you've seen the film, you know what scene I'm talking about. She has a lot of the emotional weight in this film, and I thought she played it off really well, especially, again, her relationship with her uncle, with Billy Bob Thornton, her relationship with Six, and also a couple scenes she has with Chris Evans' character, who we'll talk about in a bit. But she's a star, and I really enjoyed what she brought to the table. So again, collectively speaking, the supporting cast did a good job, but it's these standouts here. I want to start off with Ana de Armas, who, when I saw her in 007 No Time to Die, when she had that machine gun, it's like, yo, she is great in the action genre. She's fantastic as an actress. You know, I think of Blade Runner 2049. I think of her in Knives Out. She's a great actress, but her action go hand in hand. This film, Her in 007 makes me so excited. I wasn't really too excited about for my John Wick fans out there. We know that we're going to get that spin-off, The Ballerina. She's going to be starring that film. And again, going off of her previous work, and especially her work in this film, she's very believable when it comes to action. She is Danny in this character. Now, Danny isn't given a ton of backstory, but you can kind of understand her motives. Putting all that aside, Danny is a badass, and she can handle her own. She doesn't need anyone's help, and she is kicking a lot of ass in this film. And again, Ana de Armas in action, perfect fit, and she was really great in this film. But let's talk about Ryan Gosling, who I'm a big fan of. Y'all remember the Titans? 2000, 2001, he's been acting for a very long time. He's one of my favorite actors in Hollywood. He is fantastic in this film. Now, I think he is giving us a lot of stuff here. Now, his character goes by the name of Six, without giving too much away. Imagine, Deadshot from Suicide Squad, which this film has kind of a Suicide Squad type of premise to it, to a certain extent. He's someone that has a particular mysterious past, a very tragic past that you learn in this film. But with all that backstory, all that trauma he suffered, created the machine that we have in this film. He is absolutely a badass. He can do no wrong. He can do it all. He can take out anyone, take out a whole army if he wanted to. He's given me, for my Blade Runner 2049 fans, he's giving me some Officer K vibes, a little bit of First Man vibes, but also Driver vibes. He is a very stoic character. He doesn't have many words. He's a man of few words, but when he does speak, it's, you want to hear what he's saying. But he also has some good comedic beats in this film. Ryan Gosling, he's a great action star. Again, he's done romance, he's done comedies. I don't know if he's done horror, which I would love to see Ryan Gosling in a horror. He was supposed to do The Wolfman. We'll see what comes of that. But he is an action star. He's really great in this film, but he's not my MVP. That award is going to the one and only Chris Evans as Lloyd, who is this psychopath. I think he is a mixture of, the way I would describe Lloyd for you all is Kylo Ren meets Biff from Back to the Future. When you see the film, you know what I'm talking about. He is hamming it up in the best way possible. I love Chris Evans as an actor. Again, Marvel fans, he's my favorite Avenger, Captain America. He's almost kind of like the Winter Soldier in this film, but he is just so great in this role. And we need more Chris Evans as the bad guy. I think of Scott Pilgrim film, he was the bad guy, Knives Out. And in this film, he is fantastic. He steals every scene. He has some of the best one-liners. He is kick-ass as well. Chris Evans did his damn thing, and just collectively, like I said, the entire cast was absolutely great. But transitioning into some other positives before we wrap into the negatives, the action, for my action junkie fans out there, I was thoroughly entertained. It was wall-to-wall action. Each set piece was bigger than the last, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger, and I just really thought it was fantastic. I think of some standout moments in the action. There's a scene that takes place in Prague, which was absolutely jaw-dropping, and then the third act was very well put together as far as the action set pieces, and I thought that was handled well. I'll say this, it almost, and the key word is almost, it has some very Mission Impossible type action moments that I really enjoyed. It didn't completely take my breath away like it does in Mission Impossible. It wasn't, as over the top or, as real as some of the Tom Cruise stunts, but it's not as unrealistic as some of the Fast and Furious action. It's somewhere in the middle, which I really enjoyed the kind of the action that we get in this film, which kind of brings me to the tone of this movie. I personally appreciate the self-awareness that this film has about its campiness, and there's a sense of levity that the film has, and it felt like every 15 minutes or so it kind of refreshed itself, right? When the film would kind of slow down, they would give us some kind of quirky musical cue with a really interesting soundtrack. They would give us some really cool action. So I thought the film had some really good pacing, and it really kind of had a good sense of where it was going. And again, it was very self-aware when it kind of dove into those more funny, quirky comedy beats that I really kind of enjoyed in this film. And also, too, this is an action film that doesn't have a world-ending type of event. It was kind of refreshing. Again, the comedic beats, especially from Lloyd's character and Six's character. You never throw a loaded gun. Again, the tone was there, and then just kind of transition to a little bit of the story. It's not as sophisticated or cerebral as a James Bond or a Mission Impossible, but I found the story to be good enough to keep me engaged in the narrative, which I really enjoyed. And before we get into my criticisms, kind of staying within the realm of positives, I want to let you all know about the sponsor in this video. Let's hear from Into the AM. Today's video is sponsored by Into the AM. Into the AM is a clothing company with a variety of amazing products such as t-shirts, hoodies, jackets, shorts and underwear, headwear, and much more. Their t-shirts have unique designs, they're incredibly soft and extremely comfortable, and they're made to last. But the best part is, you can get 10% off by using my discount code MovieFiles when you're selecting your new gear, which you can find that code in the description below. So shout out to the sponsor of this video, Into the AM. You can check out that discount code. They have some great stuff. You're going to want to check them out, and you can use my code to check out their gear and get some good discounts there. So transitioning into my criticisms now, I'm just going to say it right now. You've seen the film before. It's not breaking new ground. It's kind of Born Identity type of vibes. You know, a spy's being framed. There's a thumb drive with some critical information. There's a girl we have to save. You've seen that before, which is fine, right? My issue with some of that familiarity in this film is it hurts some of the other characters that I didn't mention earlier. Like, unfortunately, there's a lot of stereotypical characters that don't have a lot of depth in their range of the characters. I think of Jessica Hartwick, who I'm a fan of her. She plays Susanna, and in her relationships she has with Regé-Jean Page, they were just bland. They stood out like a sore thumb because everyone else kind of added a little bit more to their characters, but their characters to me were just very bland and very stereotypical. And just whenever we checked in with them, I was kind of checked out, if I'm being honest with you all. And it kind of brings me to, I wish there was a little bit more depth and a little bit more motivations that were fleshed out in the film. I think of a particular character that comes much later in the movie by the name of Lone Wolf, who was completely a badass, but completely came out of nowhere and just kind of left the film out of nowhere. So again, there's moments in the film where I'm just like, man, I wish they would have expanded and given those characters a little bit more to do within this narrative. Speaking of some of the creative choices here, I thought there were some really odd camera choices. Now, at points in this film, and I've seen some people mention this, but it is something that does stand out like a sore thumb. There are these Michael Bay drone shots that the Russo brothers chose to use, which some of them was okay, kind of unique and kind of cool, but they overused it. It kind of just, again, it took me out of the film like, wait, am I watching Six Underground at this point? So little nitpick there, which again, speaking of the kind of nitpicks, there are some little kind of quirky edits that I thought were just kind of odd and a little bit choppy and felt a little bit incomplete at times, especially during a particular action set piece that took place in this kind of plane that's crashing, and it just felt like they cut it way too short. So little quirky things there that kind of stand out to me. With all that being said, is it worth watching? What score do I give this film? Before we get into my overall thoughts, if you made it to this point in the video, I appreciate you. Give the video a thumbs up, share the video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and of course, subscribe. Overall, The Gray Man is without a doubt, in my opinion, the best big budget action film that we have gotten on Netflix to date. And I think that's thanks to the Russo brothers, the writing of the film, and of course, the amazing cast led by Ryan Gosling and Chris Evans. It's entertaining, it's engaging when it needs to be. It has some really solid emotional moments, some good placement of comedy, and the action sequences left me very satisfied. With all that being said, I'm going to give The Gray Man a solid 3.5 out of 5, and I would say I want more from the franchise, which I think by the way the film ends, we'll be seeing these characters again. But hey, that's my thoughts. I want to know your thoughts. I definitely recommend you all give it a watch on Friday. And when you do, let's talk pros, cons, favorite moments, least favorite moments. Do you want more from the franchise? Let's talk about that in the comments below. Again, I appreciate you all. Shout out to you for watching this video. Thank you for the sponsor in this video. Hope you all are staying safe. Again, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Come and join the community. Check out my other reviews. Check out my most recent review. We got more coverage for Nope. We cover in Comic-Con and so much more. Many more things to come for you all. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll check you out on the next breakdown.